Hey, if you watched After Ruin Christmas, you know that one of the key themes is love and romance. We explored through various couples, primarily Tumi and Kaya, Beauty and Smooth, and Lydia and Timber. This season was no different. Love and romance took up a significant chunk, and this time, even Tumi and Beauty's mom joined in on the action. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I'll once again register my discontent at the fact that all the relationships featured essentially fall under the category of love stories for the rich. They all center wealthy people. For Tumi and Kaya, Kaya's the rich Porsche driving guy. For Beauty and Smooth, Smooth is the rich London apartment renting child of a wealthy politician. And for Lydia and Temba, Temba is the offspring of a wealthy politician. No need to point out how all the money is somehow in the hands of the men. Like any good Mills and Boone knockoff, the man is a millionaire, billionaire type, and the woman is his secretary, maid, nanny, or some other variation of a precarious working class person. The only exception to this love stories for the rich thing was the entry of Dineo and that maggot of a man ex of hers, Edmund, which was disastrous. So I guess the lesson is reinforced. Love is only for the rich. It only works when there's a wealthy person in the mix. Smooth's parents, Valencia and Vusi, also have their romantic moments, and in their case, it's not disastrous. Their shit works. Do the math. If you want to play the game of love, you better have money. The kind of money that makes you think downgrading financially is moving to a mansion that doesn't have an indoor pool. Otherwise, forget it and prepare for premium tiers. I could never date a Tuala man. Right out the gate, I want to declare to all and sundry, I could never date a Tuala man. There are many reasons why I could never date a Tuala man. Chief among them, the fact that I think rich men are a red flag, which is a story for another day. Today, let's talk about how spineless and pathetic Tuala men are in the face of their mother's abuse of their partners. Beauty is consistently insulted and belittled by this woman. Same applies to Lydia. And it's not just small stuff like calling them and their clothes ugly. Sometimes it's huge. One that other people would consider small, but I don't, is how Temba consistently takes his mother's side when it comes to her versus Lydia. Lydia wants to move out of the main house, but Temba won't, because his mother doesn't want that. Lydia wants to shift to formula because she's having a difficult time expressing milk. He won't support her. This nigga literally takes his child from his wife, the mother, and gives it to his mother. Yo, I'm looking at that like you niggas play too much. In Beauty's case, it's huge things that you just can't ignore. The one that made me go like, I'm done with Valencia and I'll be done with Sbu if he doesn't say something, were the comments Valencia made when Beauty and Sbu arrived from London. This was when I realized that Valencia is wicked. She's just evil. It's not just somewhat mean mother-in-law shit.
You still look pregnant.
Ma,
The first thing she says to Beauty is, You're so fat. You must be eating a lot in London. Translation, you're a gold digger eating my child's money. Plus, good old-fashioned fat shaming and that all-important reminder to women that they are nothing but their looks. This, after pointing out that Sbu has lost weight and asking, Are you not eating in London? Translation, is your wife failing in her duties to keep you fed? Then she follows her comment to Beauty regarding her fatness by saying, You still look pregnant. She says, You still look pregnant. To a woman who just lost her baby, she's evil. That's the only explanation for why somebody can say that to a grieving woman. And nobody says shit. Nobody says shit. Like, literally, Valencia is pounding a woman who's down, and nobody says shit. Not Spoo, not Vusi. Nobody says shit. Spoo just says, Nah. That's it. Fuck him and fuck his mother. Valencia is never recovering from this one for me. This is not just mother-in-law shit. This is violence. If anybody's mother said that to me while I was grieving our baby and my mom just stood there saying nothing, he'd be a single motherfucker. That's what he'd be. He'd be the singlest motherfucker that ever lived. Fuck him. No, really. Fuck that hypothetical man and fuck Spoo for letting it happen. You have one job, bitch. One job. The Tuala boys are terrible partners, period. I wouldn't fuck with this kind of nigga if my life depended on it. Standing there, all calm and shit, while your mother declares open season on your wife? Fuck you. Valencia is just an interesting picture of how patriarchy and these hierarchies function. When they travel to the village, she tells Vusi to keep his auntie in check. She's telling him to protect her, to stand up for her should his aunt attack her, the way a husband should. Yet when it comes to her own children, she's the one attacking their spouses, and clearly no one has taught them that it's their job as men to protect their wives, their partners from their mother. She uses her position to abuse these women, yet expects Vusi to use his position to protect her from the same abuse. Like, it's so ridiculous. She doesn't have a problem with the hierarchies and the violence they cause. She just has a problem being on the receiving end. And this is true of so many people. The injustice is not the problem. It's them receiving it. You don't have a problem with white supremacy. Your only problem is you're not white. But anytime you have power over people, you visit the same discrimination on them. You don't have a problem with capitalism. Your only problem is you're not a millionaire or billionaire, so you can throw your wealth around and control shit. Your problem is not power and how it's wielded. It's the fact that you're not in those positions of power. Fuck Valencia and all who think like her. Let's talk about the individual couples. I want to start with Tumi and Kaya because they're my faves, but I also want to finish with them because they're my faves. So, you know what? In the spirit of delayed gratification, we'll start with the trash and finish with the cherry on top of the pie. How about that? Dineo and Edmund. Even saying their names together like that is revolting to me. Edmund is the trash that Dineo married and Beauty's father. He is not Tumi's father, as he proudly made clear to her. Edmund makes his first appearance in season 1 and comes back in season 2 after Beauty seeks him out. In this season, Beauty doesn't just seek him out and cultivate a relationship with him, she also invites him to family gatherings. Dina and Edmund start talking at one of these gatherings, and the entire time I was like, bitch, why are you giving this trash even a moment of your time? Like, entertaining such men is so dangerous, especially because they know your weaknesses. They know how to manipulate you. They've lived with you long enough to know how to do it. They're basically like the devil in the Bible. Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. Give them a foothold and they've got you by the fucking balls. The entire time I'm looking at her like, what in actual fuck are you doing, Dineo? This person hates one of your kids and disappeared after fathering the other. Like, I'm so shocked that Dineo would actually stand there and speak to this man, let alone let him touch her like, babe, what? Women out here are really putting up with the wildest shit. And for what? For what? Like, Dineo, babe, just buy a toy. Buy 3 toys and give yourself that endorphin oxytocin rush. The rest of the loneliness, just embrace it. The whole world is fucking lonely. Like, you would deliberately dehumanize yourself, hurt yourself in exchange for a man like this? Girl, get up. Respect yourself. Damn it. That bitch is a snake. You've been bitten by him before many, many times, and so have your kids. And you think you can play with him? Anyway, this is why, when talking to young girls, I always tell the men are not to be played with. You need to be really wary of them. Real careful. The motherfuckers are crafty as fuck and dangerous as a live wire. I hate that man. I hate him with the fire of 1,000 suns. This nigga knows that Dineo, like many other women in this culture, has had the prospect of dying alone hanging over their head like the sword of Damocles. He knows. He tells her some growing old alone nonsense, then shortly they're in bed together. Like, when are we going to stop falling for this? Everyone dies alone, Dineo. Everyone dies alone. Regarding the fear of living alone, millions of women ostensibly in relationships couldn't be more alone. And seriously, are you willing to put up with a despicable man who hates you and your kids because you're afraid of living and dying alone? Come on. Sex. This stupid show that I love suggests that Dineo and her scum ex used to have good sex. When they're talking in Minister Twala's vacation home, that piece of shit tells Dineo that he remembers what used to calm her when she was stressed out. The implication here is that sex with him was so damn good, it was the only thing that could match and counter her extreme stress. Maybe I'm just a prude or a romantic or something. But I don't think sex can be that good with a man like that. It can't be that good. A man who thinks of and speaks about women the way Edmund does cannot pleasure you. He just can't. You can't convince me, okay? Okay. Maybe you can if you try hard enough. Whatever. I don't see how. Someone on Twitter once said that the reason people think sex is so good in unstable and unhealthy relationships is because everything else is so fucked up that even the tiniest bit of something good ends up looking great. Sex is consistently likely to be better in good relationships where there's mutual affection and respect. Edmund has never met a woman he was affectionate towards, much less respected. This is not the kind of motherfucker who cares even a little bit about women. How is he supposed to show you a good time in bed? Like, that shit requires someone to care at the very least about your pleasure as well as theirs. This is the kind of nigga that can only care about himself. How on earth can the sex be good with him? All there was, I'm convinced, is the basic oxytocin endorphins rush that probably comes from touching and being touched. Full stop. No interest in mutual pleasure, no vulnerability, no fun, just the bare minimum in human contact. And when you're subsisting on emotional crumbs or starving, that looks like a fucking banquet. Once again, that Edmund and Dinero thing is the most repulsive thing I have ever seen. I cannot believe she had the stomach to bang his trash ass. Ew. Okay, just ew. Punish the woman. There's this obsession with punishing women in media. It starts on about page 2 of the Bible and has been on a steady march to date. See anything Tyler Perry has ever made. We just like to punish women for shits and giggles. Dineo, in a moment of weakness and, let's be honest, staggering stupidity, bangs her useless ex. Then she finds out that he truly is the scum she always knew he was, an asshole who can take advantage of his daughter's grief and brokenness to fleece her. And the writers, like all other participants in patriarchal society, cannot resist the impulse to punish her, I guess, for fucking around. Why else? Why else would they write an ending that requires Dinero to give up all her pension to the scummiest motherfucker that ever walked the earth? Why? I can think of 100 different directions they could have taken. I bet you can't too. Instead, they punish her and fucking reward him. Like Dinero loses decades worth of pension and that asshole rides into the sunset with it. No consequences. I'm not saying TV shows are required to give us happy endings and whatnot, but can you explain what the reasoning was behind this choice? A reason that isn't good old misogyny made manifest. I'll tell you what else really pissed me off about this ending to the Dinero Edmund nonsense. Dinero is one of the only women with her own money. Valencia has Vuce's money taken from the public coffers to overpay politicians. Beauty has Boo's money. He's the one paying for their apartment in London and the only one whose career is mentioned. Lydia has Temba's money. We hear nothing about Lydia's career, but we know Temba has money. Tumi and her mother Dinero are the only ones of the female main characters who have their own money, the only ones whose careers are mentioned. In fact, you can strike Tumi, the sommelier, off that list because she currently lives in Kaya's house, and he's obviously the rich one. He drives a Porsche and can afford to buy a house and pay for a family vacation to Mauritius. The only way Tumi was going to be able to go to Mauritius alone is if she used her miles. So you have only one woman on the show who is in no way financially dependent on a man. Only one woman, Dinero, lives exclusively, purely on her own money. Then you're going to take her hard-earned money and use it to reward a useless asshole? Yeah, no. No. Just no. Imagine no. In 2022, the year of our Lord and Savior, Lizzo, no babes. That's what we're not going to do. That's misogyny. That's what that is. I want to scream and punch something every time I think of Dinero giving that lousy good-for-nothing trash her pension. All her fucking pension. All of it. Fuck all of you. Fuck everyone who approved that storyline. What of men, I said it. Lydia and Temba. I really like Lydia and Temba's relationship. I always like to see couples after the fanfare of saying I do. I really wish they had more airtime on the show. Their situation looks really meaty to me. full of good angst. Anyway, this season, the biggest problem they deal with is the control Valencia exerts over their lives and the way Temba seems incapable of standing up to his mother. It's Lydia's situation that first brought to my attention the fact that most of the women in this show don't have their own money and are dependent on men. Because I was like, bitch, why are you living in Valencia's house being insulted and belittled with every other word? Why are you begging your husband to consider moving out? Listen, here's how I know I'm just not ready for this marriage shit. First of all, unless we're that poor, we're not living with your parents. Second, I'm not living with your mother who's mean to me. Nigga, I'ma just move with my baby, and if you want to come with us, you're welcome. Like, why would I be begging you about this shit unless I couldn't afford to move out on my own? If I can afford it, nigga, I'm gone. So this got me thinking, maybe our girl didn't have the money. Except, she did. Because towards the end, she tells Temba she's moving out with Baby Shaka. And he can join them if he wants.
And you know what, Timaton, if you want to go and stay with your mother, that's fine. But me and Shaka will leave.
That means she could have moved earlier. That there was no reason to subject herself to such mistreatment, except she did it because she was being a good wife. Oh, could never be me. Bad wife till I die. That nigga Temba tells her they have to keep living with his parents in order to support them. Son, are you aware that you can support people by sending them money? 1 billion fucking people do it, my God. This nigga always picks his parents, his mother, over his own partner. When Lydia and his mother have that final argument, he asks Lydia if she yelled at his mother. Doesn't ask if his mother yelled or whatever else she said. Just, did you yell at my mother? Yeah, bitch, I did, and I wish I'd done it sooner. The fact that his wife's needs are always the last? No. His mother is openly mean and hostile, yet he doesn't think about what kind of environment that is for his wife. Like, nigga, I'd have left his stupid ass the first time his mother insulted me and he just stood there twiddling his fingers. So I'm done bitching. Okay, yeah, I am. Temba's so cute with the baby. It's ridiculous. Plus, the way he's so involved in everything, from burping to birth time and all the cuteness in between, he is so extra and it's so damn beautiful. I loved it when Lydia finally stood up for herself and told Valencia that if that steady diet of insults and criticism was what it meant to be a Twala wife, then she was out. And I was like, Viva, fucking va, it was about time. You know what? It turns out I'm not done bitching. Yeah, it turns out I'm not. Why didn't they dress Lydia as hot as they used to? She was hot caliente in season 1. She was by panic-inducing hot in some scenes like the wedding scene. This season, she was so drab, and I'm wondering if it had something to do with childbirth. Like maybe now, because she's a mother, she can't be the fiery sexual being she once was. Like, good. Even mothers can be hot. Can we keep that in mind going forward? I think we only saw the return of hot Lydia after she and Temba made up, which... What the fuck? Wardrobe. I'ma need y'all to stop with that. Beauty and Spoo. I really love Beauty and Spoo this season. I loved seeing them dealing with the heaviness of grief, how it changed them, how differently they responded, how it affected their relationship. I really enjoyed it. It was so well done. Let's start with stuff I loved about them this season. There's something really gentle about how Spoo handles Beauty during this period. He's firm and honest about what he thinks about her dad, but when she asks him to pay for Edmund's medical, Spoo says yeah, he'll pay for a second opinion. He knows Edmund is just out to fleece Beauty, but it says something that he doesn't try to actively fight her on it. Instead, he just takes a smarter, kinder route that, in the end, shows he cares for her and also serves to expose Edmund's inner motives. I love how Spoo refuses to address Edmund with any respect. Beauty calls him dad, but Spoo refuses to give him the respect he would ordinarily give his father-in-law, instead calling him Edmund the whole time. Oh, I love it when people back tradition and culture and refuse to respect people simply because of their age or position. If you have proven by word and deed that you are not worthy of respect, then it doesn't matter how old you are or what position you hold. You ain't getting any from me. I love it. I love it especially from a good boy type like Spoo. That scene where they embrace in the bed, arms around each other with Spoo lying on Beauty, is one of my favorite scenes from the season. The way Spoo looks like he just missed that, like he just badly needed it. Oh, so damn beautiful. The vulnerability, and that shit made me feel things I only ever feel with Tumi and Kaya. Okay, Away from like the nice things, now the rest. Selfish beauty. Yo, Beauty was selfishness personified this season. Like she was bringing her father around to family events without telling anyone. I mean, this man basically spit in Jumi's face, called their mother a whore and a dog, then refused to walk her down the aisle after she begged him. This man who is hated by everyone with so much as a lick of common sense, she knew everyone hates him, knew his presence would ruin the good time over Christmas period to boot, and she was just like, fuck it. Fuck them. I want him here, and the rest of y'all can go fuck yourselves. I tried to understand why she was making these really messed up choices, and even her grief was not enough to make me give her a break. It wasn't until I got the comparison to last season to me that I came around and stopped hating Beauty's guts. Season 2 Beauty is a mirror of season 1 to me. Kinda. This season, Tumi was the one putting out fires, solving problems, being there for other people, and Beauty was the one being selfish, reckless, and causing trouble. Expensive trouble. Moments. I love how Sbu turned to his mother at the crematorium, and with all the vulnerability in the world in his eyes said, say it. Oh, my heart.
Oh, wait. So Ninjaluti everybody knew and nobody decided to tell me?
No. Just that we're trying to protect you. Since?
Say it.
Another moment that really did it for me was when Beauty and Sbu fought in the room, and Sbu, his voice thick with emotion, said, this is the real world and our son died. Plus, the way he refused to be kicked out of the room, essentially making her leave, that was unexpected.
You trying to save your dad will not bring back Ulang.
Don't you dare say his name.
Why? I've been holding myself from saying his name this whole time. We need to deal with this. Stop! Wake up! You're living a fantasy and you don't even want to see that because this life is not about some fake father and daughter relationships and all this Christmas spirit bullshit. This is the real world and our son died. He's gone.
I cried when Beauty finally cried at Gogotuala's washing. Like, that was so fucking beautiful. Such award-winning writing and her performance. Oh.
Hey, Yona. Angizifunde ezo inyembezi zakho la.
I loved it. I loved it. Plus, her and Sbu at the beach, finally talking about it, crying together, then going skinny dipping. I loved it. I couldn't have loved it more if I tried. So that's it on Beauty and Sbu, and I really love their relationship this season. On to my faves. Anyway, onto my faves. Kaya and Tumi. Oh, you guys. First of all, can we just start with how absolutely hot they were this season? Jesus. When I wasn't lasting of the Sbu in shorts and trousers, every available moment was spent wondering how on earth Tumi and Kaya just walk around looking that beautiful. Kaya, for example, was way too hot this season. Like, I don't know if it was the beard or like the being a present dad thing. I don't know. All I know is nigga was fine. I loved how they opened the Tumi Kaya story this season. My God, my heart, Ash. They were beautiful and hot and sweet and vulnerable. What even was that? Jesus Christ. My notes are just interspersed with comments about how hot they were this season. Tumi in black lipstick and everything. Kaya in that hair and beard. Jesus Christ. Tell me it wasn't just me in the comments. Tell me y'all was thinking this throughout the show. Please, someone, anyone. Okay, enough phoning. Let's jump into it. Instant mom.
I went from being single to in a relationship and stepmom, all in the space of one night.
So we see Tumi thrust into this instant mom role. This is a girl who is so obviously commitment shy, and now she's not just in a relationship, she's in a relationship and has an instant teenage child. The whole instant mom thing is difficult enough without all the other changes my faves are dealing with. For them to actually do this thing together, Tumi had to, for example, move to Joburg, which meant giving up her home, her job, etc. And that's the least of the changes.
Look, I love you. Fuck up, Simone.
Kaya, kids change things.
I promise from the bottom of my heart. This won't change anything.
When they're talking about his secret child, Kaya tells Tumi that the presence of a child won't change anything. Which is such a huge lie. I mean, you can't even get a cat as a couple without it affecting and changing your relationship. How much more a whole human teenager? Anyway, suddenly, slowly but surely, Kaya's asking Tumi to make all these changes so that I guess she can fit whatever image he has in his head of a responsible stepmother for his child. In one of their arguments, he says they agreed not to drink around Lulu, which immediately sounds like something he decided. There's no way Tumi decided that. She's just going along with what he wants.
Babe, what are you doing? Are you drinking?
I mean, in my defense, I just found out that my father, who's not my father, is basically with my sister. So I'm gonna need this bottle. In fact, I'll sell it to Bonk.
We spoke about not drinking in front of Lulu, so...
Yo, Sveline.
I love that scene where Tumi reveals her hidden alcohol stash, serves them both a shot, and then downs hers, and leaves him to take his own in his own time. Ah, beautiful. Mwah.
Is that really all you care about? Do you even see me?
All I see is someone who refuses to grow up.
Grow up? You promised that things wouldn't change.
I am not the one who sprung a surprise child on us and expected you to move all the way across the country to fucking Pretoria. All because you road dogged 13 years ago on a fucking one-night stand. And you know what, Kaya? If you don't see that, we're done.
Here's what I'm wondering, a little tangent. Does not drinking around kids really help them? Shouldn't we instead focus on modeling healthy relationships with substances and drinking responsibly? All factors held constant, most people will end up using one substance or another. Shouldn't we just model these behaviors early instead of hiding? I don't know. Anyway, Kaya's asking Tumi to change, which can only end badly. All it says to Tumi is she's not enough as she is, that there's something wrong with how she is and she needs to change in order to be the kind of person he is comfortable having his child around. In Kaya's defense, not in his defense, because I agree with Tumi, he's wrong about asking her to change. But, it's worth noting that he only ever asks her to change about things related to Lulu, his child. I think, in his defense, he's just acting on societal conditioning that he hasn't examined and maybe he's even unaware of. In every other way, Kaya is wholly accepting of who Tumi is. Heck, he embraces it, even loves it. Maybe all my Kaya loving has me completely biased, but that counts, damn it. In every other way, he accepts her just as she is. I mean, let's look at the million other instances where he just loves her and doesn't expect her to change. Exhibit A.
Can I touch it? Hey. Firstly, she's not mine.
Yes, it's happening, guys. They accepted the offer. We're gonna be new homeowners. Swimming pool and 4 bedrooms. Yeah.
At the pool, when that white woman assumes Lulu, Kaya's daughter, is Tumi's child, Tumi tells her in no uncertain terms that that's not her daughter and that Kaya apparently never used to use condoms in the past. Kaya breezes past this like it's nothing. I mean, even his daughter is just completely chill in the face of it. I love it. This nigga knows and accepts her just as she is. Exhibit B.
Can we just get serious for a second?
No, just let me have fun. I like fun. And you, the Kaya, there's no fun.
Okay. Tell me where you are and we'll have fun.
He calls, and when drunk Tumi says all she wants is more fun and how he isn't fun, he says, okay, tell me where you are and we'll have fun. Kaya walks into that seedy strip club, and when he sees Tumi performing on the pole, his first reaction is a smile. A fucking smile. Then in the sweetest voice, hey babe, come on! How many guys do you know who would have that reaction to their girl performing in front of a strip club?
Hey, babe. What are you doing up there?
How is his first reaction a smile? A motherfucking smile. At this point, I couldn't have shipped them harder if I tried. No judgment, no anger, just a smile and a sweet, amused voice asking, "Hey babe, what are you doing up there?" How many men out there would respond like this? It's only when it comes to Lulu that he suddenly expects her to take on this mother role and behave the way mothers are apparently supposed to. Only when it comes to Lulu does he ever ask Tumi to change anything about herself. And the argument can be made in his defense that that's a product of societal programming. It's not personal, and he's not just being a dick. Am I defending him too much? Whatever, man. I love him. I don't care. Call me best if you want. Also, can we just take a moment to acknowledge how cute that split screen was? How devastatingly beautiful they look together, especially in the moment of vulnerability. Oh, friends. My heart. Okay. Communication breakdown. There's a reason relationships fall and stand based on communication. It's crucial and it's difficult as a motherfucker. Tumi and Kaya are not doing well. They're almost entirely failing this unit. Here are just a few things they haven't talked seriously about that they need to talk about. Marriage, proposals, kids, where to live, what Tumi wants, how Tumi feels about all these things. Kaya is buying a house and wants them to move to Pretoria, which clearly Tumi doesn't want. She already uprooted her life for them once before when she moved to Joburg, and now he wants her to do it again? And they have not talked about it. Marriage. This nigga proposed before they even talked about marriage. I think movies, American movies in particular, have made this look normal when it's the most abnormal thing ever. How you gonna ask someone to marry you when y'all haven't talked about marriage before? How? Talking about it doesn't ruin the surprise in any way. It just makes sure you're on the same page.
So you freaked out because the man you love and have always loved wants to marry you.
It's the till death do us part thing, yeah, Anna. That's a huge commitment.
Tumi says dying. Dying is less scary than the idea of marriage. What was interesting to me is she told Beauty her fear was that whole till death do us part bit. And it's the most Tumi thing ever. Tumi does not like to be pinned down. She likes options. She likes knowing she can leave. She values her freedom and independence above all else. Why would Kaya assume she wants to get married just because she loves him and lives with him? Marriage is a whole other thing, babe. I also think they'd have benefited from talking about it because Tumi sort of softened and started coming around to the whole proposal thing when they went Durban. She tells Bamkize that she has to stay because things are turning around for her, and even tries on the ring. This suggests that the surprise is what drew her, and that if she had more time to marinate in it, things might be different. Also, don't just assume you know what kind of proposal someone would like. It can still be a surprise even after talking about what kinds of things do it for them. Most normal people will tell you public proposals are a bad idea. Kai, are you listening? Don't do that shit again. You just risk 1, pressuring the other person into saying yes, which you don't want, or 2, public embarrassment. Just don't do it, especially if you haven't already spoken to the person about it. Kids. How are you just going to assume Tumi wants kids? What about the way she lives her life made you jump to this erroneous conclusion? Also, how do you not talk about these things? What else do y'all even talk about? Also worth emphasizing is men must immediately stop assuming that women want to make them children. That shit is traumatic. So don't just assume I'ma do it for you like nigga, no. We're no longer doing that. This will always be your home. One of the best things a parent can do for their child, their female child in particular, is making it clear that they can always come back home. Tumi goes to Haz and Kaya's place after he leaves her at the Twalas. She takes her stuff, then goes to her mom's place. She does it again when they finally break up, and both times her mom welcomes her with open arms, no questions asked. Women need this. Married women and women in heterosexual relationships especially need this. I recently saw this video of a Nigerian bride on her wedding day being warned by her father about disappointing her husband and essentially being told that once she went to her husband's house, she was no longer welcome back home. Someone in the comments contrasted that advice with what her own father had told her, which was, if that motherfucker tries you, come back home. In most Kenyan tribes, and I think this is reflected in most African communities, coming back home after you've been living with a man is shameful, and in some communities, entirely forbidden. The Kikuyus in Kenya give the bride a bed and a mattress on her wedding day to symbolize that she no longer has a bed in her father's house, so she can't come back. These kinds of traditions and views keep women in barred relationships and abusive situations. I just love how Tumi knew she could go back home. No matter what time it was, no matter how troubled her relationship with her mother was, the door was always open. Everyone needs this. Girls need it as a matter of survival. Speaking of going home, I could not believe Kaya left Tumi at the Twilight. Like, nigga, what? How could you? Like, I'm hashtag Team Kaya all the way, but even I can't get him out of this one. You shouldn't have did that, bro. Damn. That's your girl. You stick with her especially when other people leave. You can't just leave her alone, especially without first hearing her out. You broke too much of her faith with that one act. Like, even I trust you a little less. Damn, someone needs to teach men on this show how to stand up for their partners. Okay, back to the Kaya love train. All aboard the Kaya love train. I'm so sorry. Okay, do you remember how he wouldn't have sex with her when she was drunk? Such a bare minimum thing that confirms he's good people. Like, he doesn't just assume consent because they're in a relationship and usually have sex. I love it. I think it was important for the show to show that. Guys, he has her saved as Tumi my love. Hi, can we also talk about how he kept kissing her head at the beach? How absolutely beautiful that was. Damn. That ending, let's talk about that ending.
Do not give up pieces of yourself for anyone.
What's wrong?
You know what you want. What do I want?
What do you mean?
Have you ever just stopped and asked yourself what I want?
That one really knocked it out of me. I was never ready, and I was so conflicted. Okay, let's do things I agreed with and things I did not agree with. Gogo Twala was right when she said, don't give up pieces of yourself for anyone. Tumi was giving up too much of herself, changing to fit whatever image Kaya had in his head about what a stepmother should be like. Tumi was right in pointing that out to Kaya. As much as he only asked her to change regarding things that involved Lulu, it was still too much and unilateral to boot. It doesn't feel like he had her out about any of it. None of the changes felt like they were agreed on together. That heartbreaking question, what do I want, was also so crucial. Like, we know exactly what Kaya wants, but we don't know what Tumi wants as clearly. That's so fucking unfair. Kaya should have asked. He should have been curious, interested. He should have asked. How is it a relationship when only the things he wants, the things he thinks, are on the record? He dropped the ball so far, he basically lost it completely. I love how Tumi was written this season. She was herself with just a little growth. She wasn't the cause of drama and was the farthest thing from toxic. Yet she retained everything that makes you love her. Everything that makes her her. I love that. She held everything together, as is her custom, all without being some kind of toxic drama person. Just helping out and being her awesome self. I loved her so much this season. Like, I fucking loved her. I went back and forth over whether they should have broken up, and now I'm surprisingly mostly in support of the breakup. My argument against it is they have so much more going for them. This hurdle has presented itself, and it's not worth calling the entire thing off. Kaya loves her, and I bet he'd be willing to hear her out about all the ways he's been going wrong. This is a man who would be willing to make whatever changes when needed. I just think that there's an alarming casualness in the way people give up on good things. And on the other hand, an alarming determination to hold on to bad relationships. The people in good situations readily cast them away at the first sign of trouble. Yet people in hellish entanglements just stay there, hanging on tightly, hoping and praying when they should be running in the opposite direction. It really pissed me off at first, because I just kept going back to that Jane the Virgin episode when Michael returns from the dead. Then Jane ends a great thing with Raphael because she wants to go see if she can get what she and Michael had going again. I was pissed. Raphael was crushed, and when she came back, Raphael was like, fuck off. And I was screaming in my house, fuck all the way off, Jane. This thing with Kaya and Tumi brought some of that back. When you find something good, hold on to it, damn it. Don't just look a gift horse in the mouth. This assumption that you'll get this lucky again is astonishing to me. Like, why would you assume that? Hold on to something good when you get it. There are no assurances that you'll make lightning strike twice. And this is not fear-mongering of the you'll die alone if you reject this person variety. It's not. Leave bad situations, leave them fast. But if you find yourself in a largely good one, and there's some problems, work on them together. The difference is Tumi and Jane were both in good ones that they were so ready to walk away from. Too ready. Love is precious and should be valued, and this is especially true in a society as atomized as ours, in which forming and sustaining relationships is a monumental task. If you find love, hold on to it with both hands. Both fucking hands. That was my argument against their breakup. My argument pro their breakup is just sometimes people need that time, and I think Tumi and Kaya need some time to evaluate how they got here. Sometimes this is best done with some distance. The key thing is for me, this breakup is temporary. There's no universe in which I envision this as the last chapter of their story. Which is why I'd like to call upon the producers, writers, directors to please recast Tumi and tell us this story. If they want, I'd like to appeal to the writers to please just write fan fiction about how they think it would have played out. I'll read it every day for weeks. Please help me out. I'm this close to writing my own fanfic about it. Please, writers, I am once again appealing to you in the name of Lizzo. Please save us. That flight scene. The final Tumi scene is her on an airplane going to Mauritius. She sees some admittedly hot guy, they exchange sexy eyes, and that's it. I cannot believe they are writing to me as immediately jumping back into the streets like that. God, I wasn't happy about that. Not even a little bit. I'm not suggesting she should become some kind of celibate nun while they're broken up, but come on. What the hell? Not a fun. Would not recommend not a fun. Anyway, that was it for me. I loved all the couples this season, but I especially loved Tumi and Kai, my loves, my faves. I loved this season beyond reason. Rest in peace, Pussy. Thank you so much for such a good show. As always, remember who you are. Love life, love peace, and stay lit.